Yeah, that's right, Wolf. And here is the very latest right now on this major breaking news of a coup attempt as a pro-Trump mob of rioters invaded the U.S. Capitol. We've been seeing this playing out. Here are some live pictures right outside the Capitol, where hundreds of rioters have been for the last couple of hours. And just moments ago, we learned U.S. Marshals, the ATF, and U.S. Park Police, as well as FBI agents, are headed to the Capitol. Some already there. All 1,100 members of the D.C. National Guard have been activated, and hundreds of state troopers and local police officers from neighboring Virginia and Maryland are being deployed to deal with this unprecedented, disturbing, and frankly, undemocratic coup attempt. As sources tell CNN, multiple officers have already been injured, with at least one being taken to the hospital. And inside the Capitol, on the House floor, you can see multiple officers right here with their guns drawn, locked in an armed standoff, as rioters outside broke the glass and tried to get into the House chamber. The members of Congress eventually evacuated, some currently at an undisclosed location. And on the Senate side, multiple rioters were able to get onto the Senate floor. Senators had just been debating an objection to the electoral vote count. And you can see them in this video roaming the floor where lawmakers were debating earlier today. And at one point, a Trump supporter stood on the platform there where Vice President Mike Pence had been minutes earlier. Look at this. Also at the Capitol, a source tells CNN one woman is in critical condition after being shot in the chest on Capitol grounds. We do not know where exactly this happened or who shot her. Wolf?
Yeah, these are really, really awful situations that are unfolding and continuing, by the way. Right now, Alex Marquardt is just outside the Capitol for us. Alex, where exactly are you and what are you seeing?
Hey there, Wolf. Well, we are on the northeastern side of the Capitol, on the Senate side that Pamela Brown was just talking about. And the situation that we're seeing right here might be best described as a standoff. It's been a bit of a status quo for about the last hour here. What you're looking at there is the northern side of the Capitol. Hundreds of rioters, of insurrectionists, as we've been calling them, gathering on the edge of the Capitol building. We did hear a number of bangs just a short time ago that did sound like flashbangs and movement from these rioters, which would indicate that they are, to some extent, and to a very small extent, Wolf, getting pushed back by law enforcement. We do see some law enforcement. I'm going to ask my cameraman, Ronnie McRae, to point up at the steps on the Senate side. You can see a line of police there. I'm not sure what agency they're from, whether they're Capitol Police or Metropolitan Police, but just a little ways farther down, you can still see that there are those rioters on the steps. So this is a face-off between the law enforcement and the rioters here. We have seen riot police showing up. Sir, I'm on TV. We have seen law enforcement show up over the course of the past 2 hours, but so far there has been no serious response by law enforcement just yet. Wolf, as you know, a curfew will go into effect in around an hour's time. There is no indication right now that these protesters have any inclination of going anywhere. There's no indication that they had heard the message from the president to go home. And I just want to highlight one thing that our colleague Anderson Cooper said. Back in last summer, when the president walked over to St. John's Church and had that entire area cleared out, those protesters were doing far less than something like storming the Capitol. And so far, we have seen very little in terms of response from law enforcement, Wolf.
All right, I want you to be careful over there. I know it's going to be dark very, very soon. I'm really worried about what's going to happen once it's dark outside. Pete Montine is also just outside the U.S. Capitol. Pete, where are you? What are you seeing?
Apparently between this mob of Trump supporters and police are way outnumbered by this mob here. You can see on the Capitol steps here, this is the Senate side, Capitol Police standing there. In fact, just a few moments ago, we saw two from this group of these rioters, walk up to the police, actually even walk beyond them for a moment. We also heard 3 loud bangs over on this side of the Capitol. What we think are now flashbangs, possibly tear gas. We heard a bit about that from Alex Marquardt. That led a lot of this group to file over here from the steps leading up to the Capitol on this east side. Just to put this in a bit of context, you would never, ever see this many people, this many civilians up on the Capitol right now. We're just on the top side of the Capitol Visitor Center, which would be very, very locked down during normal times. One interesting thing that I have to note here, we're just now hearing a Metropolitan Police helicopter here, and we have seen some police officers, I assume police officers, on the roof, potentially snipers. They have been moving into place, vacillating here between peaceful and very quiet, but also a loud mob behind us as well. Wolf?
Yeah, the D.C. curfew ordered by the mayor goes into effect a little bit more than 2 hours from now, 6 p.m. Until 6 a.m. Brian Todd, you're also up there in the middle of all of this. Tell us what you're seeing.
Right, Wolf, we're at the center steps of the Capitol on the east side, and we're going to kind of take you in a little bit tighter. You still see some protesters here really not concerned about the police. There's a protester on top of a government vehicle there. They've been standing on these government vehicles over here. This staircase, this center steps, was packed a short time ago, and the police were standing just kind of to the side watching them. The area where we saw, Alex and Pete reporting from a little bit earlier is over there. We did see some smoke from some smoke grenades being deployed over there, and then that crowd over there kind of pushed back. And as they reported, you see that line of Capitol Hill police officers there on the steps kind of containing that area. But listen, the protesters had overtaken those steps as well earlier. 3 sets of steps here on the east side of the Capitol had all been overtaken by protesters. Now, 2 of the 3 are pretty much clear. This one is still not. And as you can see, let's take another shot of these protesters here on top of this government vehicle. The police have not moved in force just yet. And it really, as everybody's been talking about all day, this just kind of reveals the stunning vulnerability that the Capitol has been left under today. And, it's been evidence here on the east side, on the west side, where the confrontations with police were very tense. And we saw protesters climb these risers that were built specifically for the inauguration and start waving Trump flags on top of the risers. So they were allowed to, get almost anywhere they wanted on the Capitol grounds today. And as of now, we hear reports that the police are coming. We hear reports that the National Guard is coming in great numbers. Not seeing it here, Wolf. This is, if they're coming, they're taking their time. And these protesters are seemingly, they're not inclined to leave, and they don't seem to be very worried at all right now.
It does look, though, Brian, like the crowd is thinning out a little bit right now as it's beginning to get dark.
They are thinning out. They've been thinning out a little bit over the past hour, but again, they're leaving on their own volition. They're not leaving because the police are pushing them out. The police really, we did see 2 lines of riot gear-clad police come through here, walking fairly slowly, and there were some protesters trailing behind them, yelling at them, kind of harassing them a little bit. So, again, there's tension here, but the police, even though, again, we're warned about the curfew at 6 o'clock, we're told that the police and National Guard are on the way here. But, right now, if these crowds are leaving, they're leaving on their own. And we can show you another shot of over here. There was some movement here of some protesters, again, where the smoke grenades went off. And, the rioters had been pushed back there after some smoke grenades went off a short time ago. So, again, these people, are still here. Some of them say they're going to stay here, but, when the police arrive in force, there could be some real tension here and possibly some violence.
Yeah, 2 hours until that curfew goes into effect. Brian, be safe over there. Be careful.